Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So as you can see behind me, it's quite a big mess. So today we're actually going to be going over the differences between the 1990 to 91 hatchback and sedan bumpers. And the reason why we're going to do that is because I got my hands on some really cool rare parts. So let me show you guys. Alright guys, so the primary reason why we're kind of going over the sedan and hatchback bumper is because I recently acquired these OEM fog lights from a sedan bumper, which is sitting right here. And the only difference between the hatchback and the sedan is the back bracket here on how they mount to the bumper bar. So I'll be basically refinishing these. As you can see, they're a little bit rusty on the housing here, which is easy finish, just sand it and paint it. And then I'm going to be trying to polish up the glass a little bit and then putting them into my hatch. But of course, I'm going to have to fab up some custom brackets to mount it in because obviously the sedan ones and the hatchback ones are a little different. So now let's go over the differences between the bumpers. I actually go over the differences in the bumper bars, but this will be applicable if you were thinking about putting a sedan bumper onto a hatchback. The sedan bumper cover is actually a little longer, so it sticks forward a little bit more. I wanted to swap the sedan bumper bar to the hatchback bumper cover to try to utilize the sedan fog light brackets, but you'll see why it won't work. Alright, so here are the two bumper bars. Top one's the sedan one, bottom one is the hatchback one, laid side by side. Clearly you already see there's a difference because the hatchback one is tucked under the sedan one. They're both sitting on the same level. It's just that it's that much thinner for the hatchback one. You can also measure out the mounting points. The mounting points are actually the same. If you put this like pretty much straight on, you can see that it's kind of matched up there. Same with on this side. Straight on. Yeah. So they will mount up. However, the thickness will make it a little bit difficult to mount onto the car, so the bumper might stick out a little bit more and maybe not sit flush with the filler piece and stuff. So I'll show you guys the foam part, because the foam is actually also different. All right, so holding the foam pieces pretty much to this line here. Over here is about the same distance, but on the side here, it's a little different. As you can see, the top one is actually the hatchback one, and it kind of curves like that. So you notice that there's a slight difference between the foams. So there's a different curve to the bumpers. All right, so when you set this basically down and look at them, the sedan one was actually made without that frame here, while the hatchback one right up here has that frame. And obviously the curve is there. The foam is insignificant because you can always swap the foam because they're about the same thickness, but the bumper bars are quite significant. As you can see, the sedan one sits a little bit thicker. So we'll go ahead and put these into the hatchback bumper cover, and I'll show you guys what the difference is. All right, so let's start off with just the hatchback bumper. So this is the hatchback bumper with the hatchback bumper bar. So as you can see, this is sitting perfectly flush. One of the defining factors is keep in mind this right here. So if you put the ruler here, it sits pretty flush, as you can see. The sedan one is going to sit a lot higher, so which will push the bumper a lot further out. All right, now we have the sedan foam and the bumper bar sitting in the hatch bumper cover. As you can see, firstly, it doesn't sit flush. You can bend the bumper a little bit to make it bolt in here, but it doesn't sit flush. Next, you can see this. Check out how much higher that is. I'm holding it level to basically the bumper bar here. It is a lot higher. So it won't mount up. So here it is side by side again. So essentially what I'm gonna have to do is fab up some brackets. As you can see, fog lights mount here. And this is the sedan one. This is the hatchback one. It mounts a little different. So I'm going to basically cut up this bumper because it already has the holes here for it. Mock it up and with the hatchback bumper bar and all. And then use some sheet metal and make some custom brackets to have it fit. So that's basically what we're going to do today. We're going to cut out this bumper. I mean, it's a spare anyways. It's not really the best shaped bumper, so I'm okay with cutting this one. I just don't want to cut the one on my car. Alright, essentially what we're going to do is cut out, there's some squares in the back here. We're going to cut them out right to the edge of this square. It's kind of good to clean this up a little bit so you can see the lines better. But we're going to use this routering bit on my Dremel, and it's worth cutting. Alright, so working on the floor sucks, so I put it up on my stand, on my work stand, and I'm gonna cut it out from here. There you go, as you can see it's cut out. I'll bring it close. So this tool works really good. This is the bit I'm using. So all I have to do is just kind of go around the edges and clean it up a little bit, but cut it out nicely. Alright, so now I'm going to just switch to a sanding bit just to clean up the edges. Alright guys, so I do have the holes all nicely cut out now. I mean, they're not perfectly smooth, but I did the best that I could with the Dremel. I'm going to probably have to end up sanding this a little bit so it ends up being smooth and all the burrs come off. But it's not a problem because I'll have these edge guards, the OEM ones, to put on. But these don't fit as good. It actually leaves like a gap on where like the bottom here is. I'm not sure if that's right or not. I mean, it's the same even when I put it back onto the sedan bumper. There's some sort of a little gap here. So I'm thinking of getting some new edge guard that actually, you know, sits all fully flush. I'll put them on in a sec and just show you guys what I'm talking about. But this side is also cut. So I've already cleaned up the whole bumper. I washed it and everything. The paint's not in that great of shape, so I'm likely going to, you know, fix it up and have a spare bumper, this bumper, and mount it on the car. So yeah, let's put the edge guard on and I'll show you guys after. Alright guys, so here's the edge guard put in. This is the OEM edge guard that came from the sedan bumper. It sat the exact same way on the sedan bumper, to be honest. There's this little gap here. So to you OEM experts out there, is this normal? Is it supposed to have this gap here? I mean, I know I have some aftermarket edge guard coming, which will pretty much seal all the way around because it's put on with double-sided tape. But this edge guard is actually just clipped on. It's the same on this side. So it's kind of annoying to see this little gap here, but at the same time, I don't know if it's actually normal. So if you guys know, let me know, because it's a little bit frustrating. I can't really find much information on these. But we're just going to put this bumper cover back onto the bumper bar and then start fabbing up the brackets. Alright guys, so the fog lights are in, as you can see. I put the bumper lenses in there just for like show purposes, just to see how it looks like. But this is how the bumper is going to look like. I still have to prep, obviously, and paint the bumper, but this is what it's going to look like with the fogs on there. I think it looks pretty good. I lined them up as close to the pictures that I found as possible. So I think they lined up pretty well. I'll show you guys the brackets. So here are the brackets that I've made up. I did them in two pieces. I know the OEM ones are in one piece design, But these work. These hold really well. They're strong, tough metal. So I basically drafted them up in cardboard and then cut them out and bent them. So this is what it looks like. And the other side, see, looks pretty good. So now we're just basically gonna test the fog lights. I did have to replace one of the bulbs on this side because it was kind of burnt out. So here's the burnt out bulb. Surprisingly enough, it says Stanley on it. So these are still the original bulbs. One side is still working, so that's good. But you can see the little wick thing inside is all dangling. So this is all blown. So I've basically wired it all up and hooked it up to my car charger. So this is gonna put enough power for me to operate the fog lights. So let's just plug this in and then I'll show you guys how it works. All right, it's all plugged in. Here's the fog light switch. So it turns green and the fog lights come on. So let's take a view from further away. That looks pretty cool. Obviously it looks a little different than it does in video, but I think this looks pretty good. And once it's on the car, it's gonna look pretty awesome. And it is an OEM switch. The switch has seen better days though. The housing itself is a little bit cracked all over. I guess when the previous owner stored it, he probably squished everything and kind of cracked it. But it still works, still looks fine. It's just the housing's a little bit broken. So I might just add some tape to it or something and pop it in. But that's basically it. Everything works. All I have to do is fix up the bumper, paint it, and then put it in the car. All right, guys, that's basically it for this video. I wanted to show you guys what the difference between the 1991 Civic Sedan bumper and the hatchback bumper is. They look identical, but they're a little different. As well, I wanted to show you guys my new goodies, which is the OEM fog lights. So the next step is I'm basically going to be taking those fog lights apart and refinishing them, painting the bezel around and painting the brackets and all that, making them look all nice and pretty before we put them into the car. As well, we're going to be prepping the bumper and fixing it up and then putting that bumper into the car because I don't want to cut up the bumper that I currently have. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys. If you haven't already, please comment, like, and subscribe, and share my videos. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.